A nation divided, the stage is set. The 2024 vice presidential debate was a stark reminder of the deep divisions within America. Democratic nominee Tim Walz and Republican nominee J.D. Vance faced off. Tensions were high. The debate, held on October 1st, was hosted by CBS News. The stakes were clear: win over undecided voters in a tight election. Moderator Margaret Brennan guided the discussion. Topics ranged from healthcare to immigration. The candidates, however, often clashed. Their starkly different visions for America were clear. Vance, a newcomer to national politics, emphasized conservative values. He advocated for limited government and individual liberty. Walz, a seasoned politician, championed progressive policies. He focused on social justice and economic equality. The debate was fiery at times. Both candidates were passionate in their arguments. This reflected the broader political climate. The nation was polarized. The vice presidential debate brought this division into sharp focus. Clashing visions: domestic policy in focus. Domestic policy was a key battleground. Healthcare, in particular, ignited passionate exchanges. Walz defended the Affordable Care Act. He argued for expanding coverage and lowering costs. Vance, conversely, called for market-based solutions. He criticized government involvement in healthcare. Immigration also exposed deep divides. Vance advocated for stricter border control. He blamed the current administration for the crisis at the southern border. Walz countered by emphasizing the humanitarian aspect. He proposed a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants. Gun control was another contentious issue. Walz, citing recent mass shootings, called for stricter gun laws. He proposed universal background checks and an assault weapons ban. Vance, a staunch supporter of the Second Amendment, opposed any new restrictions. He argued that mental health, not guns, was the root cause of gun violence. The candidates' stances on these issues mirrored the divide in the country. Their arguments highlighted the challenges of finding common ground on these critical domestic issues. Global stage, divergent paths, foreign policy disagreements. Foreign policy revealed stark contrasts in worldview. Vance advocated for a strong military presence abroad. He supported increasing defense spending and taking a hard line against adversaries like China and Iran. Walz, in contrast, emphasized diplomacy and multilateralism. He criticized the current administration's withdrawal from international agreements. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine exemplified these differences. Vance argued for increased military aid to Ukraine. He called for tougher sanctions against Russia. Walz, while condemning Russia's invasion, cautioned against escalating the conflict. He called for a negotiated settlement. Trade policy also exposed differing philosophies. Vance supported protectionist measures. He argued for renegotiating trade deals to protect American jobs. Walz defended free trade agreements. He argued that they benefited American consumers and businesses. These disagreements on foreign policy underscored the fundamental differences between the two candidates. Their contrasting approaches to global affairs reflected the ongoing debate within America about its role in the world. Section 4. Economic battlegrounds: competing visions for prosperity. Economic policy was a central theme. Vance and Walz presented starkly different visions. Vance championed tax cuts and deregulation. He argued that these policies would stimulate economic growth. Walz, conversely, proposed increased government spending on social programs and infrastructure. He argued that investing in the American people was the key to prosperity. The candidates clashed on the issue of income inequality. Walz argued that the gap between the rich and the poor was widening. He proposed raising the minimum wage and increasing taxes on corporations and the wealthy. Vance countered that these policies would stifle job creation. He argued for creating a more business-friendly environment. Trade policy also featured prominently. Vance criticized existing trade deals. He argued that they had led to job losses in the manufacturing sector. Walz defended free trade agreements. He argued that they benefited American consumers and businesses. These economic debates highlighted the fundamental differences between the two parties. Their contrasting approaches to economic policy reflected the ongoing debate in America about the role of government in the economy. Section 5. Social fabric under scrutiny, values and visions. Social issues were a flashpoint in the debate. Vance and Walz presented contrasting views on abortion. Vance, who is anti-abortion, called for overturning Roe v. Wade. He argued that the issue should be decided by individual states. Walz, who supports abortion rights, pledged to protect access to reproductive health care. LGBTQ+ rights were another point of contention. Vance expressed opposition to same-sex marriage. He argued that marriage should be defined as between one man and one woman. Walz, a supporter of LGBTQ+ rights, pledged to fight for equality for all Americans. The candidates also clashed on the issue of race relations. Walz acknowledged the existence of systemic racism. He called for criminal justice reform and addressing racial disparities in education and healthcare. Vance argued that America was not a racist country. He denounced critical race theory and argued that focusing on race was divisive. These social issues highlighted the cultural divide in America. The candidates' contrasting views reflected the ongoing debate about values, identity, and the future of American society. Section 6. The Verdict. Echoes and Implications. The 2024 vice presidential debate left a lasting impression. It was a microcosm of a nation grappling with its identity. Vance and Walz, representing opposing ideologies, clashed on every major issue. Their disagreements underscored the challenges facing America. The debate's impact on the election remains to be seen. It likely reinforced existing divisions. Voters were presented with a clear choice. The outcome of the election will determine the direction of the country. The stakes are high. The future of America hangs in the balance.